Hey everyone, welcome to the last video of the top 10 Excel functions, and the last one on the list is index, which is a rather interesting function, and it helps you return a value found at the crossroads of a row and a column in an array. So in actual details, Microsoft has a nice video of explaining what's going on here, and I'll be trying to demonstrate much the same idea. This function is one of those where reading how it works is a lot more convoluted than having a look at what it does. So we'll be particularly focusing on the reference form, but I will show you the array form as well. And without going through all this stuff initially, I'll go backwards and show you a practice, and then we'll look at the theory because it's a lot easier. So the way it generally works is that you have at least one block of cells and you're trying to find what's at the crossroads of your definition. So if you're looking at what's in row 2 and column 3 of this block and you're looking for that value 96 here, then you just say index, that's your reference, and row 2 and column 3, and we're not bothering with anything else. So that's how you get 96. Because again, this is your area, that's your row, and that's your column, and 96 is second row, third column. That's the underlying idea. If you have more than one area, you have to go by specifying each of them in a separate parentheses. So that's going to be 1, that's another, and another. So those are the 4 areas we have here, and again, let's say row 2, column 3, and on this occasion let's specify area 1, and again you get 96. If I was to change that to area 2, we'd be looking at this one, which would be 53. So let's do that, and you would get 14 for area 3, and you would get 39 for area 4. I'm only going to demonstrate one of these. That's the underlying idea with index. Now, what you have in the actual description is a lot more technical, and essentially you have your index with the reference row number, column number, and the optional area numbers. What's always required is your reference and your row number. Anything else is optional. One of the main things to remember about all these remarks is that if you specify a row or a column that's beyond the boundaries of your reference, you will get an error. So in other words, if you have a 4x4 table grid and you specify you want to get the 5th column or the 5th row, you're going to get an error because of course it doesn't exist. You'll also notice that index is more in line with VLOOKUP match and the indirect function, which are slightly more advanced, especially the indirect. So although index is part of top 10, that is according to Microsoft's own definition, and maybe it's not the 10th most basic one, but definitely capable of being in the 10 most useful ones. The other thing I wanted to show you is the array form, which is a bit of an obscure use, especially if you haven't really worked with arrays, and again it takes you beyond the basic top 10 easiest things to do in Excel, but since it's here I'll show you anyway. The idea with array is that you could get the whole row or the whole column back, and there's a side note here that says if you're using 365, then what I'm going to show you is not going to be totally valid, because you just need to use enter and it's all going to work fine. But in all of the other versions, including the one I'm using, which is 2019, you'll have to go with the Ctrl+Shift+Enter version. So what this really does is you select a whole row, assuming that's what you're after, and in the first cell you just type index, and you kind of do what you've done before, but in this case you just specify you want, let's say, the second row, and column number is not required, but I like to put something in there, so let's say 0, which is oddly enough a valid value in this case. Usually it's not, but in this case it is. And then you do Shift Ctrl Enter, and lo and behold, you have the whole first line back. If you were to change that to 3, it would move further down. So that's how you use the array function part of index. Maybe a bit more advanced, something that you might want to know about nonetheless. So that was the basic introduction to index. I hope you found it useful, and should you have any questions, drop me a line, a comment, and I'll try to accommodate and answer and do any videos that may be relevant. Thank you for watching.